Alright guys, here's the rudder for the Pearson 34. They actually, to split it in half, the guys have to use a chainsaw to cut it in half. And on the centerboard model, which is what mine is, basically you have the rudder hose attached to this nice little piece of metal, and that's taking the entire weight of basically the pressure from turning the boat. So the reason we had flex is because that's about the only two pieces of steel that were holding this blade together to that. So we got to figure out how we re-engineer a rudder that only has a 7-inch wide piece of steel to be reliable longer term. So we got to figure out what we do here with this next. So that's pretty much our rudder post. So I'm gonna talk to the guys and talk to Tim, who's the owner of Sarasota Marine, Tim Smith, and we'll see what kind of concoction we can cook up to make this work. All right, gang. So this is what the rudder will look like inside, and it seems that this weld was done poorly and it wore out over time. What you see here, these are two wood blocks that I guess they used as spacers at some point to set the angle on the rudder and the plate, and they left them inside. So this is all, literally this is just wood. So we had water intrusion into the rudder, which then on this end there's supposed to be some kind of a gusset, or not a gusset, but some kind of a washer, Teflon or some other material, because now what we have is the rudder over time wore off the inside of the skeg. So now we're gonna have to rebuild a skeg for this, and we're gonna have to rebuild the rudder. Another thing with this rudder is what you see here. For those of you who are always saying that these things have foam, this is solid fiberglass. There is no foam inside this Pearson centerboard rudders. They're built with fiber chop, and so they're heavy as hell and they're hard as hell to work with. So we had to cut them with a chainsaw to get them to here, and now we got to deal with how we're going to re-engineer this bracket in order to rebuild the rudder. So some of the ideas is to put rods, or I guess gussets they're called, to go from the side of the post down and alongside of the sheet of metal, on both sides, up and down, so that way you have a lot more support when you're turning your rudder and you're putting pressure from the wind and the waves and all of that. We're talking about getting a thicker piece of metal. So you can see there how thick this is. We're probably going to have to go to about a 1/4 inch, but we have to, actually that's about a quarter, we're going to have to go to about a 1/2 inch, or that's maybe a little more, in order to get a stronger support on the rudder. But we don't have a lot of room on the width, so we can only do so much to reinforce this design to redo the rudder. So let's see what we can come up with. We're gonna get creative on this and come up with some new ways of doing all things, just so you get a better look. Alright guys, well that's the update on the rudder for Reverie. We're gonna get our heads together here and figure out how to come up with a better design for the rudder and the fabrication we're gonna have to do to rebuild the skeg. So we'll keep you posted on our progress, and I'll give you an update soon. Talk to you guys later.